Good afternoon, fellow pilots. So it's 12:30 p.m. here in Sydney Bankstown, and it's March 27. So as you all know, we're in the middle of this coronavirus pandemic, and despite of that happening, our flight school remains open. We are shifting to online briefings, but we are still doing some flights. So my next flight is to Canberra. It's going to be mainly via Lake Bathurst, then down to Canberra. On the way back, stop at or fly over Goulburn, and then in both directions on the way down and back up through Camden. So I will be flight planning for a CTA departure and also a non-CTA, just in case we don't get a clearance. So I'm actually here at Concept Aviation Supplies, right there, because I need to get some maps. Now, just to give you an idea of how much all these things cost, flying or learning how to fly, I've just spent $75 on 3 maps, so 2 VTCs and an URSA. Now, these documents and maps only last for 3 months, so every 3 months we need to buy the new versions, only because you can't fly legally with these documents in the plane or use them for the flight. I mean, you can use it for practicing the old versions, but to legally fly you must carry valid documents. So I'll quickly show you what I've got. What I've got is the Sydney VTC. This we use it really often because this is the immediate area where we're taking off and doing the flight training. So that's the Sydney VTC. Then you have the Brisbane and Sydney VNC. So this is the larger chart which will connect both cities. But in between, from Bankstown and to Canberra, we need the actual VTC to Canberra, which will show all the information that I need once I enter into controlled airspace in Canberra. It's going to be a very interesting flight in. I think we'll be practicing some approaches. I'm not sure, my instructor hasn't told me. And this is the URSA with all the information for each airport and whatnot. So there you go. These cost me $75 and it will last me for 3 months. So there you go. A bit later on I will do the actual flight planning and show you what I'm up to, and hope to share it with you guys. See you. Hello, I'm back, your color vision deficient pilot Chris. So as mentioned before, I was going to do the flight planning to Canberra, and I just wanted to share with you guys, at least from my perspective, being a color vision deficient pilot and also having some troubles with my mental memory and maths and all sorts of things while on flight. I wanted to share with you how I go about dealing with it, but first of all we'll deal with the flight planning portion with my color vision deficient. So hopefully this will give you an idea, at least from an Australian pilot's perspective, but I'm sure that, well, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sure that most trainee pilots will go through the same process. So let's start off with my maps and my waypoints and stuff, and I won't actually draw it out on the video. I'll probably do a time lapse instead, but I'll quickly show you what I need to go through, what sort of information and documents I will need for this flight. So the flight is on Sunday and today's Wednesday, and hopefully I'll get it done before then, and I'll hopefully use my sim to actually do the flight and see if I can get the process right with the radio call and the steps and whatnot. So I'm just going to shift it to my maps. Hopefully you can see. So as mentioned before, I bought the maps, which cost me $75. Okay, so first of all, we're going to be flying from Bankstown, YSBK, fly over Camden, YSCN, and go direct to Goulburn, YGLB, and then from Goulburn we go via Lake Bathurst, LBT, and finally land at Canberra via CB, and then the leg home will be obviously from Canberra, then up to Yass, which is ASST, then Crookwell, then fly overhead Camden, and via the entry point for Bankstown to RN, and then obviously Bankstown. Now, being a flight, this flight is getting me to practice longer distances, and obviously everything that goes with it, your 1 in 60 rules and your flight management. But my main concern would be the radio calls for the CTA, because Canberra is quite a busy airport, it's an international airport, and it is quite busy with airliners and stuff. But quickly on the map, I'll show you where that looks like. So here we are in Bankstown. We're gonna go fly over to Camden, overflight Camden, and then I think it was to Goulburn, which is it's pretty much a direct flight over the mountains. So all the way here, and then Lake Bathurst is just down the bottom here, and then on to Canberra. Then on the way back, Canberra, we go up to Yass, and then over to Crookwell, and then back to I think it was back to Camden. Yeah, that's right, Camden. And then there's the reporting point for Bankstown, which is just here, which is 2RN, just before Liverpool, where I live, and then back into Bankstown. So it's quite a decent flight. Now, I haven't done the actual flight plan, so I can't tell you the distances as of yet. So what I was going to do was draw it out on the WAC. This is your World Aeronautical Chart. So I draw out the flight plan. I would measure here as well the distances using the WAC measurements, and then obviously for the flight itself, I need to get my Sydney VTC. Put this aside. Sydney VTC, so I know what the steps are. If I can get it open. So that's your Sydney VTC, there's Bankstown. So you can see all the line, the steps. So I've got a lower level of 2500, and then it goes up to 4500 around the Camden area. So really, if I want to go fly all the way to Canberra, I could request a CTA departure straight up, go into controlled airspace over all of this. The higher we fly, the smoother we go, and the less fuel we burn to lean out. But that's the plan. But I will also plan a non-controlled or non-CTA departure where I'll stick to the steps. Apart from that, so once I draw the lines on the WAC, I'll draw the lines on the VTC, and en route to Canberra, I'll be using the VNC Sydney, which will cover the distance between, well, actually this will cover the whole lot. Maybe I should just use the VNC, but as I get closer to Canberra, my issue would be it doesn't have all the information for the Canberra area. The Canberra VTC will have more of the information, like your frequencies and NDVs and whatnot. This has some, but not all of it. Now, you're probably thinking, what's this guy on about in terms of color vision? I'll show you that in a sec, but I'll put this aside because I will draw that later on. I don't even think I should do a time lapse because it's a boring bit. But apart from doing the maps, apart from the weather for Sunday, so this is just an example. This is my flight from 2 weeks ago. To actually do the flight plan on the day, you need, for Australia anyway, you need your GAF, your graphical area forecast. So this will show you all the phenomenons and all the visibility, the showers, your clouds in the area that you're flying in. So I've printed out the area for where I'm flying. So for this one, I don't know if Canberra is on this one, quite small. I'll worry about that. I think it goes past. I need another piece of the map that continues on. So I need that for on the day. I can only do that on the day. And apart from that, I also need what they call a GPWT, which is your grid point wind and temperature forecast. So this tells you all the temperature, wind strength, wind direction for each of the levels. So this goes from 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 7,000 and 10,000 feet all the way up to flight level 140. So I need that so I can calculate the winds for the day. That's how we draw out the tracks. And obviously, apart from those two, you will need on the day as well your TAF, so your terminal area forecast for Bankstown and all of the relevant airports that you're going to go to, especially destination airport. And we also do a printout of the area briefing. So this is the location briefing. There is one called the area briefing, which will cover the greater area, and it will have the NOTAMs as well. So this one was my flight from 2 weeks ago. You see I've highlighted some NOTAM information for aerodromes that I was going to land, and also some alternates that I drew up just in case weather became worse than it did. I did plan for an alternate there, but I didn't need to use it, which is good. So all the weather information I need to do on the day. So this is what I can't do tonight to prepare for the flight. However, stuff that we can do. I know my instructor's weight, sort of. Well, we can just use the average. So we need a load chart. So we're flying a Piper, I think we're doing a Piper Archer. So this is a Warrior chart. I need to get a new one. I've got a Archer chart somewhere. But so this is your weight and balance. So you put your pilot's weights and your baggage, your full fuel. It just determines whether we will be within the envelope for the flight. So whether the CFG is off once we start burning fuel, empty fuel, and then we're not off, out of balance, and the aircraft will still be controllable. And knowing all that, normally you need your QNH and your pressure heights and density heights for this, the landing chart and the takeoff chart. But we always, recently I've been told to do this as a worst case scenario. So I always I will draw the temperature for the day. I'll do this on the day as well, but I always have zero wind and probably sealed runway, so I won't take any slopes, take any headwind or whatnot. I'll just do worst case scenario. So that's for both the takeoff and the landing charts. So I'll do that on the day as well. Yeah, moving on to the actual flight plan. After I draw all the lines and measured all the distances, this is what I need to fill up. So I would have obviously the waypoints, my altitude that I want to fly at, which I need to cross-reference with the map, see what's the lowest safe altitudes given, especially with the mountain ranges. Consider the hemispherical levels as well, depending on the direction of flight. True airspeed, I think we'll be doing 105. I'm pretty sure 105, it's just an Archer 2. So 105 knots. the magnetic bearings, which I will get off from the map. So most of the map of the area we're going to be using is magnetic bearing with a minus 12.5 degrees to the true magnetic. And then the wind, as I mentioned before, I can't do that until on the day. I'll calculate that during the day. So calculating wind and direction, I'll get my new heading. At the same time, I'll be able to determine the ground speed. Distance, we'll be able to figure it out tonight. ETI, which is the time till the next interval, will be determined on the day as well. EET is just the compounding of that. And obviously this I have to fill out in flight, my planned estimate, my revised estimate, and the actual time of arrival or departure. So I might need 2 of these, or even 3, one for CTA and non-CTA, but I don't know if I have enough lines to accommodate all the waypoints. And that's basically what I need to fill out tonight. And then I could pre-fill out the fuel calculations for my fixed reserve and my actually just a few fixed reserve and a taxi, because I can only calculate the climb, cruise, and if I need an alternate or a holding fuel on the day, depending on the weather. So that's where I do my fuel calcs, and do some notes there. Now, on the back of this, I printed this by myself. I've got my fuel log, but I've been experimenting on what better way to manage it. So far, I'm just gonna have to use the actual school's way of doing it. So this goes on the bottom of the GNI board, nav board. I'll show you that in a minute. And this goes on top. Now, here you've got the fuel log. So that's where I put my time taken, and then got my left and right in both. Put another column there. You can't really see that. Yeah, there you go. I'll put another column there to show the actual time and the time elapsed, so I know how much time or how much fuel I've eaten up in a certain leg. Obviously my start time. Now you've got all these boxes here, so the bigger boxes I'll probably use for the 1 in 60 rule. So any long legs that I draw out in the map, I'll do 1 in 60 to determine, just in case I get off course, and it's an easy, quick reference, so I know how many degrees to steer if I'm out of the 1 in 60 rule. And then obviously other notes here. It could be anything, traffic or whatnot. So that's basically it. Here's my knee board, my nav board. So I've got my pistol holder, the Bankstown airport map. Maybe I should do the Canberra one as well. And that goes like that. So, and that goes like that. So there you go. Now, I'll draw out this flight plan and let's see what I get. Yeah. Okay, I'm back. So I'm now at the stage where I'm writing all the frequencies that I would need for the flights. So I've got YSBK Bankstown, Camden, and the longest leg one of the longest legs is from Camden to Golden. So from here all the way down to there are some frequency changes. As you can see, this is the VNC, so you've got different frequency boundaries here. Now, like I mentioned before, when I used to, during my first nav flights, when I wrote the frequencies down, I got them all wrong. So because of my color vision deficiency, I had troubles identifying the frequencies on the map, and I'll show you what that looks like. So let me just quickly fold this in half. So for this boundary here, these are the frequencies that they recommend, or the legend for it. So to me, I can't really tell what. Well, I'm thinking that's green, but dark green, and that's brown. But then when you go across to the actual lines or boundaries on the map, there are different shades of green and brown to the actual legend. So if I'm traveling between Camden and all the way down to Goulburn, I'll be crossing several frequency changes, and I need to take note of it. So I've made so many mistakes before. So what I've been told to do, or there's no other way for me to do it, is to actually reference the URSA, which has all the information about the area frequency. So for Goulburn, the area frequency would be, so it says here, if I'm to the west of Goulburn, which is, let's put that away, on to the west of Goulburn. So Goulburn is here, west of this side. So if I'm to the west, it's telling me to use frequency 124.1. So 124.1, so use just that one. Melbourne Centre 1241. But if I'm to the east of Goulburn, or if I'm on the ground, they want me to use 121.2. So looking at the map, that's Goulburn to the east, 121.2. There you go. So I can't distinguish. So there's 3 different colors on this border here. 3 here, and there's 2 here, there's 2 here. So if it's 121.2, I'm thinking it's the lighter color, lighter green, because that's Goulburn there, and that lighter color cuts across on the east side of Goulburn. So to the east it's 121.2. It's lighter shade of that color. So if I go to the dark color, I'm guessing that's brown, it will be Melbourne Centre 125.0. So this is where I'm struggling in terms of the colors on the map. So I need to add an extra step in my flight planning, where I put when I jot down my frequencies, I need to refer to the actual URSA and see what the actual frequencies are of the area. So there you go. So that's one of my struggles. Okay, so I've done all the frequencies now by cross-referencing it with the URSA and against the map itself, where the frequencies are. So that's all done. I've got my true magnetic course, I've got the distances, and the only thing left for me to do on the day is calculate the wind, the ground speed, new heading, and obviously the estimated time intervals. Now, when I finished that, I then drew my 1 in 60 on the map. So I don't know whether you can see it, but there's a 1 in 60 on the map there. So that's the home leg. This is the departure leg down to Goulburn. So I've got a 1 in 60 there, a 1 in 60 on the way back. So I only draw my 1 in 60s for the long legs, where it's almost featureless. So there's another there from Yass to Crookwell. I don't have one from Goulburn to Lake Bathurst because it's a short leg, and I know I'm looking for a lake, and I haven't got a 1 in 60 from Lake Bathurst to Canberra because I know I need to go over the windmills, and then you've got the big Lake George there. So it's easy for me to find where I am on the map as compared to open land. There's one from Canberra to Yass, and it's not a definitive halfway mark for the 1 in 60, so I choose a landmark, or a road or a river or power lines that cuts across almost 90 degrees to my track, so it's easier to identify. So as an example, so the first leg on the way down, I'm cutting through a power line, a river, so I would know either side if I'm off track. I know which way to turn. So I've measured the distances between those 1 in 60s, and I've actually drawn it on my notes right there. So there's my Camden to Goulburn, the distance between the 1 in 60s, and I've already pre-calculated the number of degrees I need to turn left or right depending on which side of the track I'm off track. So you got your Camden to Goulburn, and you've got your Canberra to Yass, my Yass to Crookwell, and then obviously Crookwell to Camden. So those are the major legs. And on the top I've just written down the elevation of the airports or the waypoints, the circuit heights, the overfly heights. So this is all administrative stuff now, so the more information I prepare, the less I get stressed. So I'll probably photocopy the URSA pages for them, and I'll probably jot down all the other frequencies just in case I need to land at those airports. So I need to get the ATES or the AWIS frequencies, just in case I need to actually land. Saves me from pulling out the URSA from my flight bag and having to look at it. I still need to check the pilot operating handbook for Juliet, Quebec, Oscar, which is the plane I'm taking on Sunday. Not entirely sure what the fuel burn is. I think it's 36 litres per hour, but I'd rather be sure rather than do it now and have a lot of the road shoes on my paperwork. So that's the flight plan there. I might do another copy because I want to do a CTA departure and a non-CTA. So hopefully we get to go flying on Sunday, and for those who actually use maps, we all know it's an art of folding when you're flying. So I might do some pre-folding before then, but I'm actually going to be using 4 maps for the flight, probably predominantly using one, which is the VNC, which has all the legs, but then as I get closer to Canberra and also back to Bankstown, I'll use the local VTCs. So there you have it. Maybe on my next episode, that I've already covered my colour vision deficient issues, I might try and share what I do in terms of making mental notes, or I'm having mental issues in terms of having short-term memory in flight. I'm having troubles with mental maths at the moment, so I'll probably discuss those on how I manage them. But for the meantime, we'll hopefully be flying Sunday, and hopefully I'll get some of the calculations in a video when I do my wins. And see you then.